of I Am Woman by Beverly Rain. This message celebrates International Women's Day, recognizing its roots in the labour movement and its focus on women's contributions across society. Using an acrostic for woman, the message reflects on key themes. Women's diverse experiences, cultures and struggles shape how theology is understood contextually. O. Opposing oppression and discrimination is crucial, recognizing ongoing violence and societal injustice against women. M. Making a difference requires acting for equity, not just equality, following Jesus' example of embracing the marginalized. Affirming women's value by viewing Proverbs 31 not as a restrictive checklist, but as a celebration of women's courage and dignity. Nurturing faith in God is essential, emphasizing spiritual maturity and reverence over traditional cultural expectations. The message calls for celebrating women with dignity, affirming their worth in God's image, and challenging oppressive norms. Number 2, 10 questions and answers for understanding Q1. What historical movement did International Women's Day grow out of? 1. It grew out of the labour movement. What does the letter W in woman stand for in the reflection? Weaving women's different experiences, cultures and struggles. Q3. What is the main issue addressed in the O section? A3. Oppression and discrimination against women. Q4. According to the WHO, what percentage of women have experienced physical or sexual violence? A4. Nearly 30%, or 1 in 3 women. Q5. What theme did International Women's Day use last year? Embrace equity. Q6. What is the difference between equality and equity? Equality gives everyone the same resources. Equity adjusts resources to different needs for equal outcomes. Q7. How is Jesus described in his relationship to women? Jesus is described as a feminist who respected and included women. Q8. How should Proverbs 31's 10 to 31 be understood according to the author? As a celebration of a woman's valour and character, not as a limiting checklist. Q9. What is the critical characteristic of the fear of God in women's lives? A9. It leads to spiritual maturity, reverence and wisdom. 10. What is the ultimate call to action for readers? A10. To celebrate women, oppose oppression, affirm their worth and nurture faith in God. Number 3. 3 PPT presentation structure. Slide 1. Title, I Am Woman. Subtitle, Reflection on Proverbs 31's 10 to 31, Beverly Rain. Slide 2. Introduction to International Women's Day. Origin, labour movement roots, recognition by United Nations, importance of celebrating women's contributions. Slide 3. Acrostic, woman overview. W, weaving diverse experiences. O, opposing oppression. M, making a difference. A, affirming identity. N, nurturing faith. Slide 4. Weaving experiences. Theology is contextual. Diversity shapes perspectives. Importance of listening to each other. Slide 5. O, opposing oppression. Global violence statistics, 30% of women. Continuing effects of colonisation. Internalized misogyny and power struggles. Slide 6M, making a difference, distinguishing equity from equality, Jesus' example of inclusion and care, call to act for marginalized women. Slide 7, affirming women's worth, Proverbs 31 as a celebration, not a checklist, valor, courage, dignity in women, Jewish tradition of celebrating women weekly. Slide 8N, nurturing our faith, fear of God leads to maturity and wisdom. Faith must be nurtured like a living plant, true foundation of a woman's strength. Slide 9, conclusion. Our call, celebrate diversity and women's contributions, fight oppression and discrimination, nurture faith and affirm God's image in women. Slide 10, discussion and reflection. How can we better practice equity? How do we celebrate women without limiting them? How do we support oppressed women today? Would you also like me to prepare a sample visual template for the PPT with suggestions? Hobby 1. How can we move from advocating for equality to truly practicing equity in our communities and churches? We move from merely advocating for equality to practicing equity by recognizing that people start from different positions and need different kinds of support to thrive. In practical terms, listening carefully to individuals' specific experiences and struggles rather than applying the same solution to everyone. Providing targeted resources such as scholarships for women from disadvantaged backgrounds or leadership mentoring for underrepresented groups in the church. Creating flexible structures in the church that account for diverse needs. For example, offering leadership roles with varying time commitments so that mothers, caregivers, or working women can also serve meaningfully. Training leaders to recognize hidden biases and systemic barriers that prevent true participation. Measuring success, not just by equal numbers, but by how well people of different backgrounds feel seen, valued, and empowered. Practicing equity means intentionally adjusting systems to help everyone reach their God-given potential, not assuming that treating everyone identically will result in fairness.
2.
In what ways does Proverbs 31 challenge or support contemporary views of women's roles? Proverbs 31 both challenges and supports contemporary views, depending on how it is interpreted. Proverbs 31 challenges narrow, stereotypical views by portraying a woman who is economically independent, wise in business, strong, dignified, and respected by the community. She is not confined to the private sphere, but actively influences both family and society. At the same time, it supports the value of roles that are often overlooked today, such as caregiving, homemaking, and nurturing others. These are presented not as inferior tasks, but as dignified, powerful expressions of wisdom and strength. Balance. Proverbs 31 is a celebration of character rather than a restrictive checklist. It pushes modern readers to appreciate women's contributions in every field, whether at home, in business, in ministry, or leadership, seeing all as equally valuable before God. Thus, Proverbs 31 expands contemporary views by highlighting the diverse and dynamic roles women can hold without diminishing their worth. 3. How can Christian communities more effectively support women facing oppression and discrimination today? Christian communities can better support oppressed women by creating safe spaces, establish confidential, supportive environments where women can share their stories without fear of judgment or retaliation. Preach and teach boldly against all forms of oppression, discrimination, and abuse, including those subtly tolerated within the church. Practical assistance. Offer tangible support such as counselling services, financial help, job training programs, and housing for women escaping abusive situations. Empowering leadership. Actively promote women into leadership roles and decision-making positions within the church, ensuring their voices are represented. Educational programs. Teach congregations about biblical justice, gender equity, and the true value of women as made in God's image. Partnering with advocacy groups. Collaborate with organisations working against domestic violence, human trafficking, and systemic discrimination. Ultimately, the church must not only preach about love and justice, but also embody it by proactively dismantling systems that oppress and by uplifting the brokenhearted as Jesus did.